Right, let's dive straight in with this next episode. Then this is part 2, where we're going to be exploring concepts 5 to 8. So you've got overlap, slow in and out, arcs, and secondary action. So that's the concepts we're going to be exploring in part 2. So let's crack on then. Got our screencast and our Epic pen. You can download this tower. There's a link in the description. And what we're going to do, we'll Shift D, we'll duplicate that tower. Let's have him animating him jumping across. So if we just hide these towers for a minute, we've got Alley. You can download that rig as well. Very reasonable cost, just a couple of dollars. We're going to be using Alley. I've actually done some planning thumbnails that you can download in the description. And when you're learning animation, what you want to do, you want to be doing a bit of planning. So you'll sketch out a few thumbnails. So you'll think about planning the arc as he jumps. You'll think about there might be a little stretch there. There might be a little squash there as he jumps across. You can, you can do things like that. Put 2. Squash. 1, which is going to be a key pose. He's going to squash there as well, isn't it? That could be like anticipation. There's a tail on him, so you got to think about. That tail, it'll kind of. Let's go to a different colour. He's got a tail. His tail will kind of drag, won't it? And as it hits here, you'll go the other way. You'll think about your C curve and S curve, overlap, and all this stuff. Best to get it down on paper. So, always think about P, 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 P. You might think, what the hell are you on about? Pre-planning and preparation prevents piss-poor performance. So, even if it's just in your mind, think about planning your animation. So let's, we're obviously going to incorporate the first 4 principles, but let's mainly discuss principles 5 to 8. So let's start. We're going into pose mode. We'll move this character up to here to start with. Let's just go into, we'll go into animation. Best to work in animation mode. You can see your camera there. And you want your auto key, or to close this area. And just have my timeline to start with. If you go to I, you can also hit I in there. Extend that out. You're going to be jumping from building to building. So you want your master control. I like to have that. It's a set and forget. So get it into the place you want it. Somewhere around there. Can have him cutting through a touch. And what you can do then, you can just hide your master. To set and forget. So let's just set up some initial staging. 1080 1920 for the gram. Not as though anyone follows me, but I'll put it on Instagram. Let's just unhide our camera a minute. Knock off auto key. I'm not. We'll set this up properly in a bit. Let's just put it. Let's just ballpark it for now, so we can at least see what's going on. He jumps. That can be. And we'll put the colour. I like to have the colour on in there. I'm working grey here with wireframe. Don't know why, but that's my preference. Always has been. Have a swig of water. Control S to save. Now we can start getting our poses in there. So just restart my screencast keys. You can see them. There you go. Excuse me. Right, so into pose mode then. We've set our first key. What we want to be doing, if you hold Alt, you can go into your orthographic view. We want to be jumping from here to here. And as I say, let's think about overlap in this one. Let's think about slowing out and slowing in. Let's think about our arc and our secondary action. So we've got our first pose. Let's just set that to about 120 for now. So think about like an inner monologue. What's the character thinking here? Move these down here. So he wants to jump across, doesn't he? So let's just have the tail. I like to be in local mode, avoid gimbal, and have your item there. Just have the tail up a bit so it's not dead. We've got an expression on this one. You can remember to get your auto key back on as well. So when you move stuff it stays keyed. So our initial pose, obviously we can't be perfect on this. We can't go on forever. We'll copy, paste it into 5. So copy paste. Now he wants to anticipate, doesn't he, first? What we can do there, we'll have him a bit like the last episode. With the ball, you remember. So he could anticipate a little bit of rotation maybe. Tail could come up a little bit. This is our anticipation pose. AI, but we actually want him to be stationary to start with. We'll copy and paste that, and he goes into his anticipation. So. And we're going to be tweaking the timing on this. You want to be at 24 FPS. So anticipate down. So we're just doing it on the fly, really, to start. I'm going to adjust the timing. So he's anticipating. Now we want to be going, let's just try that. AI. Move our route. So he's somewhere in the air now. So if you think about this kind of thing, isn't it? It's going to be a nice arc. So the force there is pushing up. I have to obviously see how it looks. So something like that. He's obviously come from there. And it'll be like there, so his tail's going to drag, isn't it? He's going to be like that, and then down. So, let's move this tail about a bit. So it's dragging behind him. You come from there. Something along the lines of that, or you could be there, and this down a bit. Got a bit of trajectory up. So, anticipate taking off. What we could do, what we have got to do, we've got to change the scale back to 1. He's in the air. This expression can be back to there, and it looks like the blink. Is there a blink? I think that could be because of the... Is that because the eye? Yeah, you just need to move that eye control to be in front. That's all. Move your eye control there. If it's too close. It affects the eye there, so just move your eye control there. He's looking. Let's go through. Right, so anticipates, jumps up. He's in the air. I was thinking he could maybe have a bit of side to side. I found a bit of reference that I'll link in the description of like a salmon as it leaps out the water. A bit of like side to side. We'll also we'll add a breakdown in there. Let's just go to the next frame for now. Aye. We've got a key on everything. And then he's coming back down. So, jumps. And then maybe the tail could be starting to drag in. Which is a part of overlap, draggies. Let's just key through. Tail dragging behind. And then tail dragging the other way. Kind of a lead and follow action. So yeah, overlap, you've got sort of drag, successive breaking of joints, lead and follow. He's coming back down, so he's rotating the body a bit there. Control S to save. We'll obviously adjust the timing. Let's just get these keys in there. AI. And then here is hit the other tower. the other tower. So his body could go back that way. I'm not sure how this is going to look yet. Just keep that controller in front. The eye. So, and you'll come along a bit where I need to stop. You could start turning that way. So we'll try and add a bit of Y rotation. Then as he lands, he's pretty much straight again. We might be heading that way a bit. You could maybe skid around a bit, couldn't you? You could maybe have him keep going forward. He skids around a bit, like an arc around there. Comes to a stop. You can't go too over the top on it. So lands there, land. Let's just think about the tail. So as he lands, the momentum of him landing would take the tail up there to create the overlap. And as the tail will come back down again then. This kind of momentum has created your S curve, sorry, your C curve there. And it'll come back down there. As he comes to a stop. So that's some basic pose to pose, golden poses in there. Far from perfect. It's something along the lines of that, isn't it? And obviously, you want to AI in the tail. I was thinking of having a tail go right down to the floor, which you still might do. It does look a little bit dead. It flops right down to the floor. But that's when the tail will come down. But I mean, you could also add a wag to the tail. So as he lands, the overlap's created. And he carries on and wags his tail a little bit. So always use Alt, middle mouse and Alt. You can snap to an orthographic view. So it'll come round there, maybe like that. And that might be alright for the staging. He comes to the front. So you could blink as a secondary. Control S to save. So come along and also think about a little bit of Z rotation as well. And obviously there, it's dragging round, isn't it? There you're creating like a bit of a curve there. Which will polish up in the graph editor. You'll come to a bit of an abrupt stop still at the moment. Let's go a little bit further. I don't know how this is gonna. I'm just getting poses blocked in at the minute. A little bit more rotation there. Flip through with your keys. That's come down a bit too fast, hasn't it? I think. And we'll offset these keys as well in the tile. Control S to save. So that is some basic, very basic timing in there. So let's see how bad it looks when we press play. Let's look at our window there. We can see either side. Let's just press play out of interest. And we'll see the very basic floaty timing. But he's actually doing the core action of what we want him to do, which is jumping across. So the next thing to do, we'll just put that on 80 for now. Remember to go into pose mode and A to select all. Let's start tweaking a bit of timing. But before that, I think we'll get a few more breakdowns in there. So we go from 11 to 24. Let's go to say 18. AI. Don't mention that. Let's add another breakdown. Let's have him at the tail. Dragging a bit more. We've got a subtle C curve. And what we could do there is create a subtle S curve. Subtle S curve there. So another breakdown. So if you look from there, he's going that way. So on this one, the body could go the opposite way, like the leaping salmon I'm thinking of. He sort of gains his inertia and acceleration. We've added another breakdown, which is a little bit rushed, but don't need our expression. With the eye looking there. So we added another breakdown. We'll probably add another breakdown in the middle there as well. So AI. Let's again think about what we can do. We can go to F3, calculate. And there's our arc, look. So this can go first in that one. But that one's still dragging from there. And as it hits, the tail's going to go that way and then back. We can tweak this all in the graph editor, see how things look. So obviously, we've got our arc there. We go to clear, Control S to save. When he hits, there's going to be a little bounce, isn't there? I'm thinking we have an in between there where he goes up a little bit. Subtle bounce. There'll be another little bounce probably in the middle there, which you can add in the graph editor. And you could start coming down a bit there and then go back up to create a bit of contrast. And obviously there'll be a bit of stretch, squash and stretch, so we can have a bit of squash as he hits. Somewhere around here, if we go to AI, set it all back to 1 and stretch a little bit as he's going into his stretch, squash. Not going to go too over the top because we discussed that in the last lesson. Control S to save. So let's think about these 4 principles then. So overlap. We've got our tail overlapping there. It's going to come down and overlap. We're going to slow out there. So let's favour AI. It's 5. Well, not 5 in AI. Right, so we're going to favour the first pose to slow out. I'm going to adjust the tail, just trying to get a basic feel for it. So favouring means you're closer to the previous frame than the last one. That's going to create our slow out. And you're not really going to slow in as such here. You're going to fast into that. It's going to be a fasting, which relates to slowing, like slowing in and out and fasting in and out. Because of the momentum he's gained through there, he's going to be going quite fast here. So we'll adjust the curve so he goes fast into the land. We looked at our arc, didn't we? Secondary action, we'll think about that in a bit. Probably be a blink, keep it simple. Let's go to Control S to save. Let's just loop this, see how it looks. We got our very basic timing in there, haven't we? Or should I say the basic poses? Let's now adjust the timing. Make sure you hit A. Let's maybe have him anticipate a frame quicker. Maybe 2 frames quicker. So 5 to 9. Anticipate. Slow out. And see how it feels when you put it a bit faster. Maybe a frame slower to gain the momentum. And then he really comes in, because he's got the momentum then. He'll come in faster, won't he? So adjust the timing. Just keep looping it and keep looking how it feels. I'll try it a bit faster towards the end. It seems to be going slow, doesn't it, at the end there? I mean, it should be going faster. Maybe move these keys down here a bit. Keep looping it. So, anticipate, jump, and maybe needs to anticipate, refrain longer. Maybe a bit more squash. He's really got to gain. He's really got to gain some force, hasn't he, there, to get himself across. So it's jump. Just think about any in a monologue, how the creature would be feeling to get across. He's going to think, right, anticipate down, then jump. We can have a bit of a stretching there, can't we? Just scale it to have a bit of stretch. You've got some subtle squash stretching there. And as I say here, a little bit more stretch. Bit more stretch. And then squash. So let's keep looping that. There we look. Obviously it comes to an abrupt stop. You've got to sort that out. I think we need a bit more hang time on this. So maybe let's try a frame more of hang time. So that already feels better just by adjusting one frame, doesn't it? In the air. Let's try maybe adjusting it. Maybe a bit too much this, but hanging. So hanging in the air. Then hitting. Set that to 70 for now. Just thinking maybe slow out a bit more. Maybe not. Remember, with animation, it's all about timing and spacing. That's probably the most important things, followed by your arcs. And also, even though you've got these 12 principles, you've also got to think about other things like silhouette, weight. That's very important, the weight of something. Contrast. That's just a few off the top of my head. Always be thinking about these principles. So, you can adjust the curves and that to get a better hang time and fasting and stuff. Just thinking it ends too abruptly, doesn't it? So we'll definitely need a few more frames at the end here. So let's have him looping round a bit more. And even though it's stopping abruptly still, you can adjust the curve to counteract that. So I think now we've got our basic timing in place. Control S to save. We've still got to set our staging a bit better. We've got our basic timing in place. Let's now go into our graph editor. This is where the juicy stuff starts. View only keyframe hand. Don't show your cursor. So if you show your cursor, look, it's blue. I always think it confuses it with your Z channel. So let's look at our, you don't need scale at the moment. Let's look at our location to start with. Close this. We'll press N to hide our tool there, so you can cycle stuff. It's good for loops. No, we don't need that for now. Let's look at our location. So we've got an orthographic view there. So you don't want it to be dead still at the start. So you can create a very subtle moving hold for the characters. Moving very slightly. Maybe just on the Z and the X, a very slight movement. It's not dead still. Be very subtle. Let's think about the Y. If we go to I, all channels, let's really slow out. That's generally how you create your slow out, by adjusting your curve there. It slows out. Adjust your curve and your handle. So slowing out. Always remember to save. Into the air. And we have a bit of hang time there. It hangs in the air. And in general, your curve will mimic what your character's doing. So he's arcing across in the air, isn't it? And you think about the law of physics as well. Things generally stay in motion and carry on in that motion until they're affected by an outside source. Well, it's going to be affected by that surface. So what we'll do is he hits there. We'll go to right click, vector, and he'll hit. Be a hard hit, which is generally what happens. So fasting into it, very fast. So you're fasting in. And that's going to happen on the Y, not so much on the Z. You can still break the tangent there though, give it a bit. Just adjust your curves. So fasting into it. And he pops up a bit. Little bit of hang time there on your Y. So you adjust your Y there. There's your Y. There. Right. There's your Y. And there's your Y. You're adjusting that in the graph editor. You're seeing it in your viewport. And as he hits again, let's just hide them two for now. We'll go to vector again. Let's give it a little bit more. We're pretty much straight ahead in there. Maybe copy and paste that. Delete that. So he's hit. He's come up a little bit more there. And even there he could go I only selected. Give it a touch more. Right click, handle type vector, your hard hit. Vector again. Not quite as hard. And here, not quite as hard because the momentum's going out of it. Bit of a hang there. Adjust your handle for a bit of a hang. So still comes to an abrupt stop. But you can see the nice little bounce, can't you? Nice little bounce as he hits. So let's look at our Z. See what we can tweak with that. I think he starts to move in the X as well, doesn't he? He goes across. You can delete keys as well. Let's bring that down there. Move that, keep it moving. Copy, paste, then move that down a bit more. I. You can go to all channels are only selected. That's really pretty much the only two I use. I. And just keep this curve subtly moving. And you'll need more. You can see it's not so abrupt, is it now? As he comes to a stop. Still too abrupt for my liking, but a lot better than it was. You just keep tweaking this. You find a nice stop, which will be more of a polish thing. Let's just have a look at the X from another view. Always look from other, even though your camera view is the most important. I'm used to game animation. You have to make things work from all views, really, in games. You can see our curves. Bit of a mess, isn't it, there? So, remember you've got your F3. Calculate. So, adjust your curve. That's where we broke the tangent. Didn't really need to on the X. Or the Z, really. It was mainly the Y. You wanted to break the tangent. So let's just move this curve. See how it looks. You can hide your other ones to save hitting them. And you'll keep inserting, polishing, tweaking. something like that. You could move that to there and do it along the lines of the what you've done with the Z. We go to I, only selected. Mess about with your curve. It comes to a nice stop. F3. Sorry, pose, motion paths clear. Keep looping, loop and look. See, to me, feels a little bit slow now. So you'll be going back and forth. Don't think just because you've adjusted your time that that's it. Feels a bit slow as he moves out. So maybe move that back a frame. Should we try that? Back there. Just keep tweaking. Not sure if the start drags on for a bit too much. You could maybe have another frame of hang time. And then maybe go one frame. Thinking around there. Should it be frame quicker maybe? It's a bit too much there. And when you've adjusted your timing again, you'll go back into your graph editor. Because you can destroy your curve a little bit. So go back in and tweak your curve. Back into your graph editor, tweak your curve. So I delete keys a bit if you want. So there's the basic timing, isn't it? Still not quite right. It's getting there. Maybe a bit more hang time there. Then fasting into your bit. Still think maybe that is dragging on touch too much. So what you can also do is drag over there, hold X, move it that way, like that. hold X, move your key there. I feel as if you can see the curve there. He's not flowing, is he? You want to keep going, keep the motion going. You don't really slow up as such once you're in motion, as I mentioned. You'll keep going. Adjust your handles. It keeps moving. Maybe we need a bit more anticipation there. So that's where it anticipates. If you go to A, you could copy and paste that and give it a bit more. Maybe give it even more. So you got to just gaining the power kind of thing, ready to pounce. Not pounce, but you know what I mean. Building the energy up more. We're in the graph editor. We'll have a look at our rotation channels now. Do a bit of polish on them. Not sure if I like the idea of him changing direction so quickly. Drag them along. You should maybe keep jumping that way. And it changes a little bit later. But even though he blocks it in, you can still change things a little bit. So we are rushing a bit, remember. And there, that's when he starts changing the X direction. Move your keys along to hold it a bit more. And create a bit of contrast between directions. I think we talked about this Y, didn't we? As he jumps. He's a bit like a salmon. He goes one way, then the other way. But maybe that should happen a bit quicker, really. So you can move that key to there, then move it so he goes that way. Copy that one, paste it. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Copy paste. And now he's a bit it's a little bit salmon-esque, isn't it? Where he's going both ways to gain a bit of momentum. See what I mean? That way. That way. the other way. And he maybe comes out of it then. He just does it initially to gain momentum. Just still not happy with the timing of it, really. I'm thinking maybe this Y location should be more. Really go up higher. Still feels a bit just not sure of the timing at the start, whether it should be just try it a bit quicker. Back into our graph editor, X, Y and Z location. Let's hit F3 and calculate. Let's have a look at our arc. It looks like it should be gaining more momentum through there. F3, recalculate. That feels better because we've worked on the arc, haven't we? So when we adjusted the timing, kind of like destroyed our curve a little bit. We'll always be wary of that. So we need to do a little bit of polish on these curves still. That's not too bad. Go to F3, sorry, pose, clear, Control S to save. That's the main body in, but it still needs a bit of polish on the curve. Let's just think about this overlap on the tail then. We've got our arc, which we wanted to think about. Let's just think about what we'll do. We'll adjust that camera so the staging's a bit better. Right, to turn off my auto key there. We could have a little camera shake, couldn't we, as he lands, for example. So we still need to tweak some timing and stuff on that. Let's just think about some overlap on this tail. Let's grab these 4 controls. 1, 2, 3, 4. Go into our graph editor. And let's just think about the X channel to start with. And grab your X channels. Have a swig of water. Don't want X location, we just want our X rotation. What we can do now just your curves again. It's a little bit of a moving hold, it doesn't go dead still. Really, a lot of these curves should be mimicking. Make sure that when you're creating your overlap, and the tile starts to change direction there, doesn't it? And then there, you don't really want anything to be dead stop. I keep it moving. Keep things moving in general. And the best trick is if you grab these three, leave your last one, go over all of them, hold X, drag, then grab them two, hold X and drag, and the last one, make sure you grab them all, drag and hold X. We've created a bit of free overlap now by offsetting the keys. Then obviously you go back in and visually see how it looks. So round about there, you really want that base one, which was your tile root. Hitting. So this tile root goes right in, and then your next one goes in, and the third one in, and the final one in. In out, shake it all about. And this takes a while to get it polished up properly. So the tile goes in and then back out. And then around this location here, make sure you're grabbing your correct one. We'll go in, and these will be dragging. You can just select it and adjust it like that to drag it. And you could go back into your graph editor and just tweak it there so it drags. Make sure you're grabbing the correct one, so tile 01 there. Drag that. That's your overlapping action there on your tile, because you've hit your tiles overlapping there. It's coming to a settle after your main body's hit. So I'm trying to rush this in. I hope you can understand the concepts I'm trying to get across there. Just keep tweaking. And obviously you need to think about that for your Z there. But I'm just going to show it in the X for now. It comes It's a bit abruptly there, doesn't it? The tile. What you could do, you could move your X couple. It's not as abrupt. So he could hit, and he could maybe come back. So he hits there, but he doesn't want to. You want the root there, tile root. I like to select them all, then just select them in the channels there. So your tile root could come back up again, couldn't it? Go to I, only selected. That tile root would come back up again. There. I, only selected. Then that could come back up again. O2, only selected. Back up. Then O1, I, only selected. That one could come back up. You could grab them all, move them along, but then just grab those three and offset again, what we did before. Create your free overlap. Then just go in and polish your curve a bit. So even though that gives you quite a bit, you still got to go in and start tweaking curves. And so that's your tile root. So that's going to have your first bit. And the next one down the chain. And the next one. And your last one. You can see then that things are hitting at different times. So you got a nice little overlap on the tile there, which is far from perfect. We need to polish in general this character still. That's some overlap on the tile. Even though the timing still needs adjusting a bit. Secondary action could be at the end when everything's kind of settled. What he could do, all channels. You could have a little eye dart, couldn't I? Yeah. And look. So he's looking at you there. All channels we've disabled auto key there. He has a little eye dart, which is generally 1 or 2 frames. Leave it at 2 for now. And he could have a little blink as well, couldn't he? All channels, 1, 2, 3. Blink. Copy. Paste, come back out of it. That could be a little second reaction. And maybe the eye dart should happen after the blink. Could blink. And then maybe eye dart. As he's coming out of the blink, but that's all personal preference. There he is, look. Let's give him a bit of life, that has. Blink. And you could maybe do something at the end, tail wag, things like that. There's plenty of stuff you can also add. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go in and get this polished up using the techniques I've already shown you, tweaking the curves and timing and things like that, just to get it looking better. And I'll come back and tell you what I've done for final. Right then, let's bring you back for this last part then, show you what I worked on for polish. If you look there, that's our final animation. Could still be a bit better in parts. I still feel there could be a touch more hang time. But in the most part, that's done. So let's discuss what we've done on this polish. I spent probably about 30 minutes. So let's look at this curve here. F3 calculate. There's our nice arc. Nice character arc. Is principle 7. You can get rid of that by going to motion paths clear. So the character's got a nice arc to it as he jumps. And even as he lands and comes back round, there's a bit of an arc there. So he lands and arcs round. See the nice arc down there. That's principle 7. Principle 6 is the slow in and out, which is what you get by adjusting your curves to slow out, basically. Yeah, that's slowing out. And generally, you're slowing, but on this one, it's more of a fast in. So if you think about the motion, he's really gaining momentum, isn't he there? You have to incorporate the law of physics, think about that. He's gained his momentum, picking up speed, and then goes in fast. And obviously, this gets a little bit less as he bounces. If you think about your Y, that Y curve is mimicking what the Y curve on that character's doing. It's going up and down as he gets across to the other platform. And we only really discussed the X before, didn't we, on this tile? If you look at the X, where we offset it, we create some overlap. It's only really in the X, isn't it? What I've done on polish is I also added the same sort of concept, but I added it to the Z. Again, I've done some offsetting of the curves. If you look there at these dots, they're offset, look, 1, 2, 3, 4, and that relates to the chain. So the overlap is drag and breaking of joints. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4. So that breaks, then the second one, then the third, then the fourth. And that's how you get your nice looseness and overlapping action on your tile. So if you just turn off overlays and loop that, there's our tile. So let's look at the physics of it. The position there is going downwards. So the tile generally you'll get an S curve. And C curves like that. And you're doing tails and overlap. And generally S is where things change direction in general. If you just look through that, the tail's gone back to the C, but then the force, that's your most important, the force of your main action. So that's going up. So it was in a C, wasn't it? There's your C. But because that is going upwards now, your character is changing direction, the tail. And there's your, choose another colour. You get a subtle S curve then, as it changes direction. Usually subtle, the S curve is. You can see, can't you, the S, as it's changing direction. So obviously your most important is your main ball. And then it's kind of dragging and overlapping his tail. It's got a mind of its own, in a way. As he hits, it's gone into a bit of an extreme. Then it comes out of the extreme. But I've also added, as I say, you've got that leaping salmon effect there. So yeah, the character's Y rotation is kind of going left and right like a leaping salmon. The tail is also moving in your SID. So it all depends on what camera angle you want. We've got like a perspective 3/4 kind of view there. So you need to get some animation in different rotation axes, especially on the tail. It looks more alive. So the tail's sort of going left and right, isn't it? And then when it finally comes to the end, I've done it so he gets excited, like a dog. I use a wagging dog tail as reference for that. So he lands, thinks, great, I've done it. So always think about like the character, what he'd be feeling. He's like, yes, I've made it, I'm excited. And again, that's number 3. That's joint 2. And that's joint 1 at the end. If you look at them again, they're offset. That's how you create your overlapping action, by offsetting your curves. So you've got all the principles of animation into this. But the main ones we wanted to discuss, which were slow in and out. Well, we've got that, haven't we? Because there's our character slowing out. He'll probably be a bit slower, really. He's slowing out, isn't he? Look. So let's go through it. And you can create different angles as well. I was thinking of doing like something like that angle. Should be quite nice as well. And you're kind of looking up. You can't see the character that much. You could mess with your cameras and just Maybe create some other angles. You got your side view. I'm sticking with that one, I'm just saying. Different angles you could create. But yeah, let's go through. We got 5. Overlap. Well, there it is in your curve there. You usually offset your curves to get your overlap. You can see the tail overlapping. It's not happening all at the same time. As it hits, you've got drag and successive breaking of joints. CS. Sometimes I curves as well, but usually C and S curves for your overlap. So we can clearly see our overlap there in our tail. What was our 6th principle? Slow in and slow out, which also can relate to fast in and out. So we've got our slow out, haven't we there? You can see our character there. Then there. Then I've just got another couple of frames there. So it's slowing out, and the timing for that section there would be kind of, there's your frames. Not for the section all along, it's sort of, you get more even as you're in motion. Your timing will get more even. But you create your slow in, or you slow out there and you slow in, or making the frames closer together. So that's your slow in and out. But then you've got your fast in and fast out, which is when the character lands there, that's your fasting into it. So yeah, getting a bit messy here. But there's 5, your overlap, what we've done. 6 is your slow in and out. 7, your arcs. Well, we had our arc, didn't we there? You can clearly see in the motion path our arc of the character. Very important concept. It's F3, calculate. There's your arc. Arc up. There could be more hang time really. Not 100% happy with that. But you can't keep going. I might just tweak that before I do the final render. There's your arc. And then the final thing, let's rub this out now. Rub all that out. Final thing was secondary action. So there's a secondary to start with there, a little eye dart. So he's thinking, what am I going to do? Generally, when you look up to the left or right, you're thinking about something. He's thinking, what can I do here? Oh no, I anticipate and jump. So that's your secondary action there. 8. Secondary action, which is just there to complement your primary action. And it's also in at the end as well. Your secondary action is your tail, but as well as your overlap, you've also got your tail, which is secondary. But as well as that, we've got some eye darts, look. He lands, he blinks, that's another secondary action. We've got our tail, our blink, and our eye dart, or darts. There's a couple of eye darts. So we've got plenty of secondary action in there. There it is. Like I say, there's things that could be better on it, but no, we can't keep going on it. We got our, so all in all, we've explored the next 4 concepts, but overall, we've got concepts 1 to 8 on the principles. And we've also got 9, 10, 11, 12 really, but not, we're going to explore them in the next lesson. If you think about these first 2 lessons, we've covered 1 to 8 pretty much in all of this animation, because we've got our anticipation as well. We've got our squash and stretch. We've staged it, haven't we, there, to get some perspective. It's not flat. And we've done some straight ahead and pose to pose on this actual animation, like on the first one. So that pretty much has got everything so far. Staged. Staging. So that's going to be the end of this second part of the series on these 12 principles of animation. And in the next lesson, we're going to explore 9 to 12, timing, exaggeration, solid drawing, appeal. So we'll explore on the final part. But yeah, on this one, the main thing to take away, I would say really, is really get into your curves, especially like your Y there, to create some fast in, fast out, slow in, slow out. Really get onto your curves. I haven't spent as much time. I could spend a lot more time really making it, you know, polishing even more, but I'm just trying to get the concepts across. Like that salmon effect there as he's, you know, trying to add some things like that. That's more of an appeal thing really, that. I want to get some character in there. Like I added a little expression there as well on this character. Like he's a little bit worried as he comes in. He's going, ooh. And worried as he hits. And as he does hit, you got another expression there. So his eyes going a little bit. You can download this rig from my Super Hive page. Cool little rig. So yeah, use all your controls, and then obviously on here you want to create your nice offset of your curves. Just mainly the tail controls and the body for this one. You can get your squash and stretch in there. You got these other controls. So yeah, that's going to be the end of this lecture, guys. I really hope it helped you with your 3D animation. And I shall see you for the final part on the next lecture. So, peace. See you next time, guys. Bye.